We read this gospel on Holy Week. The church gives it to us again for more meditation on the feast of Christ the King, the last Sunday of the year. And it's the last Sunday when we'll be reading from the Gospel of Luke, as we have done all the year, in a continuous and beautiful way. I have enjoyed very much the study of Luke. I couldn't believe that I'm still learning so much. I thought I knew it all when I was 25, the day I got ordained. And the more you read it, the more beautiful it is. Each of the evangelists in their own way paint the picture of Jesus as it is revealed to them through their Christian community at the time, to put things down in writing for that is useful. Scripture is useful, isn't it, for our own education, for our own well-being, for our own spiritual sense, and can be used in every way. Today we go to the cross itself, for a beautiful understanding of the kingship of Jesus. You know, it's different in the other Gospels, but in Luke it's just centered on the people that stood by the cross. And there are many people that were by the cross, we know, that are not mentioned in Luke. So they don't write as a total news coverage of who was there and who wasn't there. But he's writing years after the event, reflecting on the people that saw Jesus crucified on the cross. And to Luke's mentality, the salvation that was offered to the whole world by the death of Jesus on the cross was only picked up by one person who was there at the time, and that was the good thief. And one by one he goes through them, and we turn pages all the time, but the crowd were there, and the elders were there at the foot of the cross. So the people stayed there before the cross watching Jesus. The gospel starts today. Your reflection on that is that so many people actually saw the crucifixion of Jesus, and it didn't bring them salvation. You can be there and just be a watcher and stay there and see it all. The elders, they jeered at Jesus. The gospel says he saved others. He said, let him save himself if he is the Christ of God, the chosen one. Goodness brings out badness, doesn't it? And badness brings out goodness. So the two sort of go together. It's unbelievable that when we have the image, the beautiful image of Jesus crucified before us in the church today, and it's almost impossible that anybody could look at an image like that, even of a criminal, and jeer at them, you know. But the elders, the community leaders, the leaders of the community, jeered at Jesus. They came down to have a look. If you are the Christ of God. They used all the right words. They heard all the messages of Jesus. If you are the chosen one, then save yourself, you know. The soldiers mocked him. It's interesting in Mark's gospel, the highlight of the gospel of Mark is that one of the centurions said, truly, this is the Son of God. Yeah, so one of them, but as Luke tells the story, the soldiers mocked him too. When they approached to offer him vinegar, they said, if you are the King of the Jews, save yourself. The inscription written above him on the cross, on our cross here today, is Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. We read in one of the Gospels, it's written in 4 languages, and Pilate was asked to take it down, you know. And Pilate said, what I have written, leave it there. And you still have, I hope, on your rosary beads and on the crucifix at home, those little letters on the top of the cross, and teach the children what they mean. That Jesus was crucified because he claimed to be the King of the Jews. And that was put on his cross in mocking and in mockery and in total disregard. Above him there was an inscription, "This is the King of the Jews." And then we get to what we call the good thief. He wasn't a good thief. If he was a good thief, he wouldn't have got caught. He was a bad thief. He got caught. I don't know, but he was the best. He was the better of two, wasn't he? One of the criminals hanging there abused Jesus. See, he got scoffed. He got mocked at on the cross. He still does. He still does. The cross has brought more people to heaven than any other image you could imagine. It's hated. It's hated throughout the world today. It's taken down all buildings. It's destroyed. You go overseas, we have a simple, we can tell an ambulance, it has a red cross on it. It's hard to believe that's offensive in other countries. They have a crescent on their ambulance because they don't like a cross. Hard to believe it. So his is are you not the Christ? One of the criminals hanging there abused him. Save yourself and save us as well. Every cry is the same, isn't it? Save us, save me, save me. If you're the Christ, do something for me. But the other one, he spoke up and said, have you no fear of God at all? You got the same sentence as we did, but in our case, we deserved it. We are paying for what we did. But this man has done nothing wrong. And then his beautiful prayer. Jesus, he said, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And what an answer from the cross, the mercy of Jesus. Indeed, I promise you, he said, today you will be with me in paradise. I thought I'd give you a treat today. Many of you like exams. Many of you got over them. A little study thing. Jesus says to the good thief, today you will be with me in paradise. I wonder how many todays you can think of in Luke's Gospel. Today. How many times? It's used quite a few times. I'll give you some clues. It's used by the shepherds. It's used by Simeon. It's used by Jesus in his wonderful sermon in the synagogue at Nazareth. Today this message has been fulfilled even as I speak. It's used by Zacchaeus. I thought you all would have got Zacchaeus. It was only 2 weeks ago. Today you must come up into my house, right? And today it's used by Jesus on the cross when he speaks to the good thief. So today is a pretty important day in the rest of your life. For today, it happens today, what Jesus is doing in our lives. It happens today. Jesus is the King of heaven and earth today in our life. That wonderful thief on the cross, you know, how the blessings that he got just because he was open to the goodness that was in Jesus. But I say again, it's marvellous how much goodness brings out badness and how much badness can bring out goodness. And it shows the war that is always between good and evil. Jesus, the holiest man that ever walked the face of the earth, died at the death of the worst criminal that ever was put to death.